Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 87 of the Best Day Ever Crafting podcast. Welcome to this channel. This is just my space here on the internet where I share with you my love of crafting of all sorts, primarily knitting, with some crochet and sewing and quilting and journaling and paper crafting all mixed in between. So if this is your first time here, I want to extend an extra special welcome to you. And to my returning viewers, thank you for coming back. I've gotten quite a few new subscribers in the past few weeks, so thank you again for being here. And if you are a new subscriber and you learned about the podcast from someone else, then make sure you let me know in the comments below so that I can thank them. So on today's agenda, we have a little bit of admin at the shortly, and I do have a couple of finished objects to share with you. A couple of finished objects, a couple of whips, including a couple of new cast-ons, a little bit of hand spun. I do have a little bit of hand spun to share with you. A new segment which I'm calling Tool Talk. So if I use a new tool that was very, very helpful to me and I think you'd like it too, I'll share it here. So today I have some tool talk. I have also been working in my journal, so I have a couple of journaling pages to share with you. Acquisitions as always. And then we'll wrap it up with what's around the corner. We've got a couple of fiber events coming up in the very near future, so we'll chat about those as well. Today is April the 27th. It is a Thursday, and I normally don't record on Thursday, but tomorrow, the 28th, I will be away for the day. So I said I would record today and get everything edited. So that would be done. I am having some tea because in the Washington, D.C. area, pollen and allergies are in full effect. So hopefully this cup of tea will keep my voice from cracking too much. I'm looking at Cashmere, my cat. He's right across from me on top of my writing table, making sure he doesn't get into too much mischief. He's actually looking at my shelf on the wall, so hoping I don't have to get up and keep to prevent him from trying to pull something off of the shelf. I promise you, this cat, as soon as I turn on this camera, it's like it's his cue to cut up. So hopefully I won't have to interrupt. Cashmere, behave, okay? So I'm having a cup of fennel tea, which is quite delightful. A friend of mine, we traded some of our teas, and this is one of the ones he included in what he gave me. So it's really, really good. I'm also trying to work on enjoying my tea without additional sweetener. So I usually would put like 2 teaspoons of sugar in my tea. And since I'm working on eliminating inflammatory foods from my diet, then I'm trying to work on not putting sugar in my tea. So I didn't put sugar in this, but I did put some honey and ginger crystals, which is working really well with this fennel. Really, really delightful. So I hope you have a comforting beverage and maybe a craft of your choice to enjoy while you're watching the podcast today. Before I get into the making, the little bit of admin that I want to share with you is that I have a giveaway. So this weekend coming up, and many stores, yarn stores, have already started as of yesterday. We're coming up on Local Yarn Store Day. I believe the official day is Saturday, the 29th, but I believe this is the second year that Casapinka has designed a shawl for Local Yarn Store Day. It might even be, she may have been doing it for longer than 2 years. So basically, she's paired up with several yarn stores in the US and maybe overseas too. If you purchase 2 skeins of yarn, you will receive the pattern for free. It's a beautiful pattern. And of course, the name is escaping me, but I'm going to put a picture of it right here. And so I was just looking through my stash of yarn, and I came across a couple of possible contenders for that shawl. So this one here, this set here. So this here is La Bien-Aimée on her Merino Twist blend, 465 yards. And it is a superwash merino nylon. And then I thought I could pair it with this skein, which is from Lola Bean Yarn Company. This is her bean sprout base, which is a 80/20 superwash merino nylon fingering. So either this combination, or I thought about this combination. So I'm not sure which one I'm going to choose, but whichever one I do not choose, I'm going to give the other one up as a gift. Both of them are absolutely beautiful. I could just stare at these all day. I don't know. I was going to say, I think I'm going to go with this one, but then that pop of purple is just so, so pretty. So, and I do believe that the pattern, the free pattern, will be available after Local Yarn Store Day. So for further details about the pattern and Local Yarn Store Day, there is a website. I believe it's localyarnstoreday.com, or you can follow Casapinka on Instagram. She's got some details. And if you have a local yarn store, then no doubt they also have details about the event. So to win these 2 skeins of yarn, it's really simple. You just have to leave a comment below and tell me what your favorite thing about the Best Day Ever Crafting podcast is. So that's it. You do have to be a subscriber to win, and I will be checking to make sure that the winner is indeed subscribed. So if you're not subscribed, then make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you will be entered into the drawing. I think that's it. I think that's it for admin. So let's get right into the making. Finished objects. The first finished object I'm going to share with you is actually a test knit that I completed for Vanessa Smith Designs. And here it is. It is a hat. It is called the Nydia hat. And this motif that you're seeing is repeated all around the hat. And it also has some really beautiful crown decreases as well. It also features this really cool braid that you can see there. Really, really nice. It's a horizontal braid, and she does link to a video in the pattern for how to do this, but I think that's just a very lovely touch, and this is my first time doing that technique. It also calls for a German twisted cast on, and you can find a ton of videos on YouTube explaining how to do that for a really nice stretchy cast on. So this was knit up in DK weight yarn. I used 29 Bridges DK, and the color is Pru, P-R-U. And it's this reddish pink is the best way I can describe it. This beautiful, deep reddish pink. It's so pretty. Trying to get the camera to focus so you can see the color. There you go. So really enjoyable knit. This textured, she calls this a textured lace pattern. So you've got some yarn overs and some decreases and increases, but very simple, very easy to follow, very well written pattern. I don't know when the release date will be. It has not been released as of yet, but you can follow Vanessa on Instagram as Vanessa Smith Designs, and I will also let you know. I'll just loop back again in another video to let you know when the hat has been released. So yeah, again, this is the Nidia hat, and I knit this on a US 4 and a US 6. So the ribbing was the US 4, and the body of the hat was knit on a US 6. So yeah, that's finished object number 1. Finished object number 2 is something you have seen before, and it is the Beach Pebbles cowl. So you guys remember I was knitting this several podcasts ago, and I finally buckled down to finish it. So Beach Pebbles is a pattern by Plymouth Yarn, and it features this beautiful yarn, which is also called Beach Pebbles. And the pattern is a free pattern on PlymouthYarns.com. I will link to all of this information in the show notes. But the yarn, as you can see, and I wish I knew where I could put my hands on another ball, because I have it in a couple of more colors, but the yarn is, I believe it's 80% cotton and 20% nylon. And to achieve this patterning, what you do is it's basic stockinette stitch. So you do some ribbing for the top. Start off in ribbing for about 1 inch, and then you just knit around and around. And when you get to this grayish white portion, you purl that. So you just purl that stitch, knit the other stitches, and purling the white part gets those stitches to really pop nicely, and that's what gives you the look. The ends have been woven in, but not cut, as you can see. I would trim it now, but I don't have a pair of scissors close to me, so I'll just put this on so you can see how it drapes. Because this is 100% cotton, I can just see putting this in my purse when we go out to dinner, or maybe go for a walk on a cool spring night. Like our nights have been really chilly the past couple of days. So like a weekend like today, it would be perfect. Or weather like today, it would be really perfect. So I may actually take this with me tomorrow. Cashmere. No. Excuse me 1 second. Okay, I'm back. So yes, I probably will take this with me tomorrow on my outing. I'll tell you what that outing is when we get to what's around the corner in events. So again, this is the Beach Pebbles cowl by Plymouth Yarns, and this was knit up on a US 8 or 9 needle. So it goes really quick. super quick cowl. And I do believe this yarn is still available for purchase on PlymouthYarn.com or your favorite yarn shop in your area. So that's it for the finished objects, 2 small finished objects. So let's get into works in progress. And I just realized that my sock work in progress is still in my tote bag. So hold 1 second while I go grab that. So this is a project you've seen before. It's hanging out in my by the lakeside bag. Absolutely love Sandra's bags, and I might have treated myself to another one this week. So stay tuned for that in the acquisitions in another episode. But so I shared these socks with you all the last time I recorded, and I was actually able to finish one of them. Aren't they just so springy and so pretty? If I could put my hands on a sock blocker, I would, but I think those are in the room too. So this yarn is Chelsea Yarns Coupe Sock. So Chelsea Luxe Yarns Coupe Sock. And this particular one did not have a ball band attached to it. So I don't know what the color is, but just look at those. Look at this dyeing. It's just so pretty. It's so even. I think I mentioned that I was going to consider doing a contrast heel, and I got to knitting and completely forgot about my plan. So that's fine. So the whole sock is done in this yarn, and this pattern that I'm using is my go-to pattern from Kay Litton, also known as the Crazy Sock Lady, and it is the, why do I always forget the name of this pattern? It's so simple. Maybe I wrote it down. Hold on. That's the whole point of having show notes, right? It is called Vanilla Socks on Magic Loop. Yep. And as usual, I knit my socks on a US 1. And I do like to have my cuff pretty long. It's about 2¼ inches. And it's just a basic heel flap and gusset. But I absolutely love this yarn. It's super plump and stretchy and springy. Just an absolute joy to knit with. So sock number 1 is done, and sock number 2 is well on the way. So this is the progress for sock number 2. Haven't gotten a lot done, but I do need to transfer some of these. I put these removable stitch markers on the front of my sock, and I do it for every 10 rows. And then, so when I complete 10 rows on the other sock, then I can just transfer the markers from this sock to this sock, and then that way I know that they will both match. That was also a tip from Kay Litton of the Crazy Sock Lady podcast, so, and YouTube channel. So yeah, really enjoying these. These will go with me tomorrow while I am on the road. And hopefully I'll get quite a bit of progress done on them this weekend. So yes. So that's whip number 1. Whip number 2 is also something that you've seen before. And I'm actually at a crossroads with this whip. It's my Zoe cardigan from Coco Knits. I was knitting this as a knit along with some friends of mine in the Pacific Northwest. And I had actually separated for the sleeves. I think the last time I showed this to you, I was about to separate for the sleeves. So I was able to separate for the sleeves, and I tried it on using the barber cords, which are excellent, by the way. And I realized that it was too big. And I know when I was working on it, I felt that it looked like it was really large, but I didn't do a gauge swatch. I didn't do a true gauge swatch before starting. Mistake number one, right? Because I knew it was top down, and I figured I could adjust as I went along. So as I was knitting, I took my gauge, and I was pretty much spot on for gauge. But when I tried it on, it was just way too big. So what I did was I ripped back several rows, probably about 2 inches. And it is smaller than it was before. And I have not tried it back on, but I'm still afraid it's going to be too big. And not only am I afraid it's going to be too big, I'm also afraid that even if it does fit, because this is knit on a US 8 needle, using a sport weight yarn, look at the stretch on this. Before it's even blocked, it is like super, super stretchy. And so I'm just afraid that it's going to, over time, just stretch out of shape and not be usable. So I got some options. Of course, I could just frog it and use the yarn for something else. Or another thing that I thought about doing is I thought about dividing for the sleeves again and joining it to make a pullover. And the reason why I think that might work is because at least with a pullover, I won't have, so my concern is that these fronts are just gonna hang down, and that the more I wear it, it's just gonna hang and drag and not be very flattering. But I figure if I join it all together, it will be more like an oversized pullover, and which is more acceptable than an oversized cardigan, if that makes sense. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm still thinking. I may put this back on the barber cords and try it on again. But this yarn is just so beautiful, and it's too pretty to have in a project that I'm not going to enjoy. So I don't want to do anything rash. I'm going to think about it, and let me know what your thoughts are as well. And the next time I record, I will have decided what I'm going to do. I'm either going to have a new pullover or cardigan, or this yarn will be caked back up and ready to be turned into something else beautiful. So definitely a learning experience with this. I don't talk about gauge swatching a lot because I don't gauge swatch. And I know this is really the first time. It hasn't come back to bite me often because I do knit most of my sweaters top down. And so I am able to try them on as I go. But this particular construction was a bit unique, and I didn't do that. So, yeah, definitely having some challenges there. So we'll see. Hopefully, either way, it's going to be fine. I'll have the yarn for another project, or I'll make it work somehow. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of new things I've cast on. When I was having issues with the Zoe cardigan, I said, you know what? I need to cast on another sweater. I need to, because I just, I always like to have it, one sweater on the needles. So I decided to look in my queue, and just like everyone else, I have got the summer garment knitting bug. So this was way up in my queue for a summer garment, and it is the Anchors Summer Tee by Petite Knit. So let me just make sure you can see that really, really good. Hopefully that's showing up. So it's an absolutely adorable shirt. It's actually called the Anchor Summer Shirt. Hi, Cash. Did you get your life together? And here's a larger picture of it, so you can see the construction. So I am making good progress on this. I started this maybe about 4 days ago, and I have gotten all of the little individual rib sections complete. So for my size, I have to knit 6 of these rib sections. So I've got all 6 of those done. The rib sections are divided by, or separated, I should say, by some yarn overs and other techniques. It is a paid for pattern, so I won't go into too much detail. So you can see there how each section is separated. The yarn that I'm using is Cotton DK, and it is a discontinued yarn. It's by Yarn Bee. Cotton DK, and the color is Celadon. And I got this for a steal at Hobby Lobby. It was $1.24 for each skein. And I believe I got 5 or 6 of them, and it's 235 yards for each 100 gram skein. So this is going to be a super bargain project. I really am enjoying this yarn. It's super soft. It is a very slubby yarn, which is one reason why I love it. It just feels really, really good in the hands when you're working with it. Again, super soft. What else can I say? It's just a really, really lovely yarn. I'm kind of sad it's discontinued. And there it is in the skein. So very, very enjoyable. Very, very enjoyable to use. This pattern calls for a US 6 needle throughout. And the construction is very simple, easy to follow. This, as you can see, is a yoke construction. And now that this is complete, it will go into some raglan increases for the sleeves. And once that is done, it's just straight knitting till you get to the bottom, which is also ribbing, I believe. So again, this is the Anchors Summer Shirt by Petite Knit, and it's coming along really, really well. I will get that on the barber cords also to try that on so that I can make sure I have a really good fit. Hello, Cashmere. He's just sitting here like looking up, Mommy. Are you finished now? Can we play now? Almost done, okay? No, we're not almost done. But you're fine. Okay, Cash? You're good? You okay? You need to go take a nap. You look sleepy. Okay, so the final whip I'm going to share with you is also a new cast on. And this pattern is called the Coffee Break Shawl. So here is a picture of the Coffee Break Shawl. I used to knit like 1 skein shawls all the time, and I really love them because they're just the perfect thing to throw in your purse and, you know, wrap around your neck if you're inside and the air conditioner is really, really cool. And I kind of got away from that. So I'm not even sure how I found this pattern, but when I saw it, I said, you know what, this would be really, really enjoyable to do. So let me show you the progress that I have thus far. This shawl is knit on a US 5, and this this is the progress I have thus far. So as you can see, it is an asymmetric construction. It starts right here and gets wider and wider as it goes up. My favorite part is this textured stitch right here. I really, really enjoyed doing this, and it's just so beautiful and so simple to make. So we've got it's got striping, it's got texture, it's got blocks of color. There's another interesting stitch pattern, some broken rib, like right there. So very, very engaging, fun pattern. I'm also using 29 bridges for this pattern. Let me see if I can get all the colors lined up here together. So my main color is this beautiful, like blush pink. Isn't that just gorgeous? So pretty. And the contrast colors are running out of space here. See if I can get them all in my hand. So it calls for 6 contrast colors. And these are also from 29 Bridges. See if I can get them all here. There we go. So these are my contrast colors. This one here, this is the only one I haven't used yet, which is this neutral, natural off-white color. And I'm kind of concerned that that's going to get lost in the patterning. So I might end up changing that off-white to this here. I really wanted this to be a all 29 Bridges pattern. I mean yarn, but might not be able to do that. So I did pull this from my stash, and I think this will coordinate well with the other blue I have in. Either this or maybe a purple, a light purple. So we'll see. Definitely have plenty of minis and plenty of options. So again, that is the Coffee Break Cowl. And I'm not even, did I tell you who the designer was? I don't think so. This is by Margaret for Heidi and Lana. I'll show you the picture again. I think it's so pretty. So again, the Coffee Break Cowl by Margaret for Heidi and Lana. This is hanging out in one of my Fat Squirrel Fibers bags. One of my more recent bags from her. So beautiful. Okay, so I think that's it for projects to share. Let me show you what hand spun I have. Not a lot. I was really hoping to finish this by the next time I record it, but that did not happen. But I've made quite a bit of progress. So I think I showed this fiber to you. So this is from Nest Fibers, and I'm a part of her fiber club. So this is from the December fiber club, and the color is Andromeda. And it is a 100% tar heap base. And so what I just showed you is what is remaining, what needs to be spun up. Sorry for the crinkling. And this is what I have spun up thus far. So I've got half of it spun already. Really, really beautiful colors. And I'm working on bobbin number 2 as we speak. So hopefully I will have a new skein of hand spun to share with you the next time I record. So what's up next on my so let's talk about tool talk really quickly. Um I have had this particular tool. Oh, here it is. I have had this particular tool for quite some time, but I have not used it nearly as much as I should. It is the gleaner, and I'm sure you've seen this before. I had to pull it out because let me backtrack. Let me just show you what it looks like. So this is the actual gleaner. This is one side of it that will remove lint and neps off of your sweater very gently. Then it also features this part here, which is, it's not a blade, but it definitely has a coarser texture for removing excess fuzz from your sweater. And it's actually a cartridge that comes out. Let me put this down. So it's like a little cartridge that comes in and out. What is it about being on camera that makes things more difficult? There we go. And so this is the coarser. I'm gonna let that airplane go by. We live very close to an Air Force base, Andrews Air Force Base, so we get a lot of overhead plane noise, and sometimes it's like super loud. So this is the coarser of the blades here. Don't know if that's gonna focus. There we go. And then you've got two other blades. You've got this one here and this one here, which is probably the softest of all the blades. So I was really amazed at how well this worked. So I actually had to use it for working on my friend's hat. So I knit her this hat. Oh, I can't even remember the name of the pattern, but several years ago, and a few weeks back, she sent me a message saying, "Help, my hat fell apart." So probably something that went on with the weaving in of the ends. In any event, I wasn't able to find this exact yarn, but I found something that was a close match and was able to repair her hat. But I also told her I was going to defuzz it, and the gleaner just did so good. I still got to go back in. I'm going to wash it and then go back in one more time, but I was really, really impressed with how well it worked on this hat, because it was super fuzzy. You know how our hats can get. And honestly, the fuzz doesn't bother me. I wear a lot of things with fuzz. Even this sweater I'm wearing, which I don't think I told you about. I cannot think of the name of it, but I will include it in the show notes under what I'm wearing. I believe it's by Melissa Labar, and it's basically a top-down raglan construction cardigan with some yarn overs on the raglan increases, and it's all garter stitch. It's all garter stitch, 3 buttons, and what I loved about this is that it features this really pretty lace leaf detail on both sides, both bottom fronts of the cardigan. Hi, Cash. Do you want to come say hi to the people? You want to say hi to the people? Come here. Come say hi. So this sweater can definitely use a good defuzzing. So yeah, so this, you see how he is, as you can see, he is so chunky and fat. And this is the way when I pick him up, this is how he situates himself on me. He wants to lay right on my chest. Isn't that right, Cash? Is that right, Bookie Man? Yeah. So, so yeah, that is the gleaner. I absolutely love it. And not only, so it came in this really nice case. So the gleaner fits in this case, and there are a ton of other supplies that came with it. It's got some scissors. some thread, a measuring tape, and I'm not quite sure what this is. Gleaner Quick Fix. Not sure what that is. I have to do some research. A seam ripper, a thimble, this cute little case here, like a little sliding case you can put stitch markers in. So really, really nice tool. I think every knitter should have in their arsenal. So yeah, that is the tool talk for this week. So next up on the agenda, I believe it's time to talk about my journal pages. So I have been working quite a bit in my journals the past few weeks. And let me just share with you a couple of things I've been doing. Okay, so I don't think I showed this one. I think I stopped at this page the last time I recorded. So this page here, oh, I hope this is showing up. This page here, I tried my hand at some sketching. I wanted to draw some flowers, and the tutorial that I used had you sketch out the flowers in a very faint pencil line before you colored them in. And so I thought I had them arranged the way I wanted them to, but as you can see, they're very much going vertically. I would have liked for them to be more of a circle. At least that's what it looked like to me when I sketched them out, but it's quite vertical. Still pretty, but not quite what I was looking for. And these are geraniums. So I did this a couple of weeks ago, and I just wrote a few notes about that process. This page, I'm really hoping this is focusing for you. This is one of my favorite pages I've ever done in any of my journals. It used a lot of techniques, collage, acrylic paints, markers. This image here is it's collage paper, collage tissue paper, really, really thin paper. Both of these actually, the butterfly. And the rest of the markings are either stencils or some markings that I did with by hand. It's got some text in the background, so quite a bit going on. And if you follow me on Instagram, I believe I did a reel for this, so you'll be able to see really, really close up more of the texture. But it's just an absolutely beautiful page, and I would love to do this technique again. Here are two other pages that I did recently. This lovely lady in the white was actually a cutout from a catalog. I get this catalog sent to me. I've never ordered from them, but they keep sending me the catalog. But I love the images. I love the clothes in the catalog, but I haven't ordered. Probably will not. That's the sewist in me always saying, I can make that, I can make that. So, but the images are amazing of the lady. So I cut out that image, used her, and I just covered it up with just a tiny bit of white acrylic paint because it just looked too stark and too shiny. And when I put the acrylic paint over her, she just blended in with the page so much more. You can see the background is some tissue paper with silver stars on it, and then I also put in some flowers and a little bit of stamping, and of course a quote. This page here was also very fun to do. These two pages were just some playing around I was doing with some other techniques. Really working on flower drawing super fun. And I was just experimenting with some watercolor here. So these are just some backgrounds for some pages. These are not completed yet, but the backgrounds are done. So yes, I have been working in my journals, finding so much joy and peace in doing that. So I'm still toying around with the idea of creating a Patreon for journaling since I don't have the shop anymore. But I still want to be able to connect with people more as it relates to planning and journaling, and even with the podcast, being able to show more detailed content. If that is something you think you'd be interested in, let me know. I have not worked out. I'm in the preliminary stages of planning for that possibility. But let me know if that's something you would be interested in. Let's see. So let's talk about acquisitions. I've got a couple of acquisitions and timing is looking good. So I know that if you watch a lot of podcasts like I do, you will have seen that so many makers, take another sip of tea. So many makers are getting into this unspun yarn. So I didn't want to miss out on the fun and have not been able to snag any of the Newtoden that so many other makers have been able to work with and create beautiful projects with. But I was able to get a sweater quantity of this beautiful yarn. This is by Wool Dreamers and the base is Manchalope. And it comes from the, I don't want to misquote this. I don't think the sheep is called the Manchego sheep, but I know that the same sheep that creates this wool is the same sheep that creates the Manchego cheese. So I thought that was really interesting. If you look really closely, you can see that it has a really nice heathered quality to it. It's got these yellow golden strands of fiber intertwined through. So I think that this is going to knit up really, really beautifully. I have 6 of these. And if I hold these single ply, that is considered a fingering weight yarn. And if I decide to hold them double, then it would be a DK weight yarn. But I'm really thinking about experimenting with knitting with this as a single ply. I don't have a pattern in mind. It will probably be something really, really simple, like a top-down crew neck pullover. But this will definitely be on my needles for this fall and winter. And I purchased this from the Loopy U, and the color is, I believe the color is Caldera. Again, I will link to where I purchased it from because I checked this morning and they still have some available. I also ordered this beautiful braid of fiber. This came from a thing for string, and keeping it in the package is not doing it any justice. So I'm gonna pull it out so you can see how beautiful this is. So this is 100% merino. It is an 18.5 micron superwash merino, so it is like super soft, and I cannot wait to spin this up. I might get this on the wheel next up after my December club is all spun up. This will probably be next on the wheel. Finally, I'm going to share with you something that was gifted to me. I was able to meet up with a fellow friend and podcast viewer, um, not long ago, let me see, this was about 2 weeks ago? About 2 weeks ago. So Janice and her husband came up to DC from Florida on business, and they stayed at a hotel not far from where we live. And so we connected and decided to spend time together. We had a lovely dinner together, got to know each other, and we each bought each other a gift. At least the ladies did. So this is the lovely gift that Janice gifted to me. This bag is so beautiful. As you can see, it's a drawstring. I love those big, bold flowers. Kind of reminds me of the poppies I drew in my journal. And it's got this beautiful cork base with metallic gold. And it's fully lined. It's got a nice size pocket on the inside, which is really nice. And Good Stuff Crafts is the maker of this bag. If she has a shop, I will link to it. And then she also gifted me this beautiful Notions pouch to match. So I cannot wait to use these. So beautiful. Just screams spring. And let me see here. Yep, the Notions pouch actually has a pocket too, which is really nice. So thank you so much, Janice. Oh, and also she included the stitch markers, which are adorable. Stitch markers and progress keepers, or all of these progress keepers. So yeah, all of these are progress keepers. Look at these adorable poppies. At least that's what I'm calling them. So pretty. So thank you so much, Janice. Really appreciate that. And I can't wait to use them. So finally, what's on the agenda before we close? Some really quick chat about something that a viewer asked me about. She wanted to know what my opinion was, or my thoughts about holding two yarns together to complete a project. In particular, holding a strand of yarn with a strand of mohair silk. Because, as you know, that has been the trend for quite some time, to create these beautiful fabrics by holding mohair silk with another yarn. And as you know, I am a huge fan of doing that. So is it necessary? So when you see a pattern, say for example, that says hold one strand of fingering and one hand of lace mohair together, which equals a DK weight. No, it's not 100% necessary to do that. However, it definitely affects the overall outcome of the project. So there's just something about holding those two strands together that just elevates the project. You end up with this beautiful, lofty, soft, just luxurious fabric when you combine the mohair and the lace, when you combine the mohair lace and another yarn together. So here's an example of that. So this is mohair lace that was held with a skein of fingering weight. And I'm hoping that the camera will pick this up, but do you see the halo on this? As you can see, this is a really simple hat, but I don't think the camera is doing it justice. It's just so beautiful. It almost feels like cashmere. It feels like luxury. And so that is one reason why you will see many designers tell you to hold a strand of mohair with another strand of yarn. Sometimes you'll see hold a strand of DK weight with a strand of mohair lace, which will give you close to more like a worsted or an Aran weight. Because the mohair normally has silk in it. Let me get us another sip of tea. Because mohair lace normally has silk in it, that strand of silk can also act as something that can really stabilize the fabric and give it a lot of strength. It can also give it a lot of sheen. So the mohair along with the silk, and this particular example, it's just shining so well. It's just so beautiful. So to compare, here is a hat that I knit just using fingering weight yarn. Beautiful hat, absolutely beautiful. But if you compare it to the texture of this hat, it's just such a stark difference. I will admit, however, that using mohair silk, especially if you're going to use it with in a sweater, you're basically doubling the cost of that project. So you do have some options to save a little bit of money, and I wrote those down. So your indie dyers, you're going to be paying for about 400 or so yards of mohair silk lace, anywhere between $25 and $35, depending on the dyer. However, you do have some options. So one example, Drops Kid Silk Mohair is it's over 200 yards per ball, but it comes in at about $7 US dollars. So even if you combine those, if you got 2 skeins of that, that's about $14 for about 400 yards of mohair. Another nice thing about skeins of mohair silk lace that come in the smaller balls is that if you were knitting a hat like this doesn't need a full skein of yarn. You really only need about half, so it's really nice to be able to get the smaller balls of mohair silk, like this one, for example. This is by Knitting for Olive. This is her mohair silk base. And the price point on this for my local yarn shop was $12. So that is still a savings, and it's 225 meters, so about 230 so yards, I believe. So Drops Mohair, you have Knit Picks Loft, which is also a beautiful mohair silk base. Sadness Garn also has a mohair silk base at a very affordable price. Hobby Yarns, HOBBI, also has cost-friendly mohair silk yarn if you want to experiment with it for a smaller project or for a larger project. So I hope that answers the question that you had about mohair silk. Another option that you have, because I know that a lot of people just cannot wear, they cannot wear mohair because it's too scratchy for them. So this is an example of another silk that I have in my stash. This is a 75-25 blend of merino and silk. And even though you wouldn't get the halo that you would get with mohair silk, this would still be a lovely substitution. It would at least give your project some more loft and squishiness. Cash is at it again. Now he's in the cabinet. Another option that I have in my stash, this is by The Plucky Knitter, and I do believe this base is still available. This is the Sophisticate base, which is merino, mohair, and silk. So even though this still has mohair in it, I really like stranding this with other yarns. I've done this in shawls before with this base because it it says it's 30% merino, but it doesn't have quite the halo. So if you find that you're allergic to mohair, this might be a little easier on you. And then finally, the other option is you could always use a Surrey alpaca, and excuse the crinkling again. So here's an example of a Surrey alpaca. I'm not as familiar with using this particular base as I am with using a mohair silk, but as you can see, this too has a lovely halo, and I know a lot of people have used the Surrey alpaca and silk as a substitute for merino, for mohair silk lace. I was able to purchase this skein from Hugh Loco last week, and she was having a sale, and I can't remember what the sale was, but it was a really good sale. I think it was some grab bags, so I picked up one of her grab bags, and these are the 3 that came in that grab bag. They're all Surrey alpaca silk from Hugh Loco. So I talk about this probably not as often as I should as it relates to cost in our crafting. By all means, as much as possible, I try to take advantage of sales. Honestly, it is the rare time I purchase yarn when it's not on sale. And by rare, I mean like when I go to festivals, you're pretty much going to pay what you see. But really sign up for Indie Dyer's newsletters and follow them on Instagram, because you'll be surprised. You can really get some beautiful yarns at a really, really good price, and save yourself some money if you're interested in treating yourself to a really beautiful project that you strand with either mohair silk or this Surrey alpaca. So I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan of stranding yarn with either one of these because it just makes such a lovely and beautiful project. So yeah, so that's my little chit chat for today. What's around the corner? So tomorrow I will be attending the Stamp and Scrapbook Expo in Chantilly, Virginia. So if you see this message before then and you want to head on out there, if you live close by, then it was super fun last year. Learned a lot, picked up quite a few things I could use in my journals and card making. Really, really fun. Let's see. What else? Oh, so then the following week is Maryland Sheep and Wool. So are you coming? Are you coming to Maryland Sheep and Wool? I will be there with some of my buddies, and we are planning. We cannot wait to have our weekend together. If you see me, please come introduce yourself. Come if you want to take a picture together. That'll be great. I'm hoping I'll have some little goodie bags that I can share. If I do, I will by all means give one to you. But I'm super, super excited about being there. So I plan on being there all day Saturday, or pretty much, or at least a good portion of the day on Saturday. And then on Friday, the Friday before Maryland Sheep and Wool, I will be attending Yarn Centric, which is an event hosted by 29 Bridges, and they were so gracious enough to gift me and my friends a ticket. So thank you so much, Mike and Mary. I cannot wait to see you next week. And I will be there between 10 and 10:30. So hopefully you'll be there. No, I'll be there between 10 and 11. Back it up. I'll be there between 10 o'clock and 11:30. that's my time slot. And then from there, we might hang out at Magpie Fibers in Frederick. We may go to the beautiful Joann's in Frederick. We'll stop for lunch and tea and coffee and do all the things. But I hope to see so many of you there next week. And so that's what's around the corner. And I think I've covered everything on my list that I had to cover. Thank you so much for being here with me today as I share with you what I've been working on in my crafting journey for the past couple of weeks. If all goes well, I will see you in about 2 weeks. But until then, stay safe and well and find so much joy in your making. Bye-bye.